hard-hitting episode of The Art of War Chest.
Here we go.
We're finally doing it as promised. We're doing the War Chest unit tier list. So we're going to rank all the units, talk about why we think so. We have it unscripted. We're just going to kind of wing it.
Off the dome, nothing
We should
planned.
do it. I found this tier maker, so credit to whoever made it. I don't know who did it. It wasn't me. And they actually have all the expansions, including the Poison one, Shadows or whatever. And also you have the fan-made expansion, one of which you made one of the units.
This is true.
I don't know if we'll go that far. I actually don't know what they are. I
can tell you, but...
Well, they're the bottom one, so perfect.
Yeah.
We'll see if we want to do it.
So bonus content.
This is not in alphabetical order, I guess, because it's Archer then... No, it is alphabetical, looks like. Archer, Berserker. That makes sense, AB.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, so Archer's first. We got kind of a big spread here. Rubbish is the worst.
It is a big spread, and I really don't like to go below a C, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
You're going to keep every unit in C and higher?
Personally, we're going to have some heated debates maybe about this.
So you're going to push for Archer C then? Yeah. Well, I mean, why not use the whole spread? Why would you limit yourself to only the 4?
Why not use because they're all my babies, you can't...
Well, we have a whole spread to work with.
Yeah, but I don't want to call it rubbish,
Well,
I feel like it has value.
Yeah.
And, you got to save that for Trebuchet. the one bad unit.
Okay, well, certainly, I mean, Trebuchet is rubbish.
If we're going by the...
well, I mean, okay, look.
If we changed the word from bad to...
Look, I'll delete the rows then. Well, I deleted the wrong row. Undo. Refresh. Okay, let's figure this out. No, now they killed it. Oh, no, I can't. It's gone for good?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Wait, what the hell? What?
Oh, boy.
I deleted all the rows. Okay. Well, look, that's fine.
How's this working?
I deleted the row C, so now we have row D. So, 4 rows, that's what you want to do. You want to do 4-row tier maker.
4, maybe 5. Can we add one now?
You son of a bitch.
Oh, God.
Add a row above. Okay, well, it's perfect. Hold on, close this. Add a row above.
Okay, see what they're doing.
So, this row is new. Can I change it? Okay, this is row C.
Less good.
Reasonable. Okay, and then mediocrity. There's no bad. How about this is mediocrity?
Okay.
And this is poor.
Yeah. I like it.
Okay.
This is our first debate. Maybe we should call it mid instead of medium.
Mid. Okay.
For the
sure.
Gen whatever.
All right, so Archer. I mean, Archer's poor.
Yeah, we're going to put it poor.
Archer's poor. I've played thousands of games, and you've played thousands more, and I can probably count on one hand the number of times I did not regret recruiting an Archer chip.
Yeah, no, there's a few things. We're not saying that it doesn't have its use. We got to be able to understand that it has value. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes you do have to play with these units, and the more you know how to use it, the better off you are. But that said, I'm going to say any unit that cannot attack adjacently is going to be hindered bigly.
Yeah. And that maybe is a case for if you're playing with expansions or not. Because, guard, sacrifice, those are very important. And being able to utilize those on a unit you bolstered off to defend a spot is a benefit that Archer and Lancer and Trebuchet don't have.
Yet another reason, yes.
Yeah, so if you're playing that, they're kind of less versatile than every other unit that can utilize those features.
And it's almost good that Archer is first, because it is like, for the starting player, that's almost like the go-to unit. Like, oh man, it's got range. Yeah. Everyone, that you start off with Archer thinking it's the best or it's the coolest, and that's the unit you want to use.
Must be good. Because in most games, Archers are good.
Yeah, this is true.
It's funny, when I first started, and me and Mitch, definitely when we first started, we're like, Archer seems really overpowered. Like, that seems so good. It was like a first pick. And that's been true among people I showed the game to. They always like first pick Archer in draft because it just sounds insane. And then it takes a while to get to the, realize actually, like, you hate having Archer almost all the time.
And I remember when you told me about the game, I watched a video on it, and, like, the group, it was, like, showing it to a new group of people who hadn't played, and they said Footman would be also probably the best unit when they were reading. Like, this sounds like the best one.
Yeah.
And I guess we don't want to spoil because we're not to Footman yet, but
Yeah.
I don't know, how deep do we want to go into this too? Because like, do we want to talk about strats and like what you can do with it and why else it's bad? Like,
no, I mean, not strats, but like why you're putting it in the spot. I don't think we need to get specific on strats, but just like I would like to say, like, I'm thinking of this from a perspective of drafting.
Yep.
So this is like what units. I mean, you're going to get Archer, and it's going to be bad. We're not going to tell you how to like play it better in this video, but this is kind of like drafting strategy. I guess maybe you can call this a drafting guide more than
we'll put that in parentheses in the title or something.
Yeah. So like don't like draft Archer as if it's a D. And there's maybe I would not even say 1% of situations where Archer is not a D pick.
There's oftentimes I'm still like hit with this situation is like, is it going to be Archer or Lancer that I'm going to pick?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And we can go into maybe with like forts that might change for Lancer. Mm-hmm. There's been a couple games where I'm choosing Archer over some other unit that does have, adjacent capabilities, and that's only in a situation with Bannerman, I'd say.
Sure.
Maybe Pikeman, but really I'm not gonna choose. Like, you usually end up with Archer. But like, if you have no banner counter, maybe Archer is
Archer
goes
does
up a little bit higher.
It does have play against Pikemen, which non-range units don't. So that's an advantage, and that may be one of the few reasons you go, okay, how do I kill Pikemen? But still, if Archer had 5 chips, I think maybe that
would change
what
it a
he
lot.
needs. All right, well, look, Berserker, the high and low right off the bat here. Berserker's pre-expansion 100% the best unit. Post-expansion still probably the best unit. I mean,
no, I'm way low on it.
Way low on it.
I call it mid-Zerker now.
No, come on, you're just trolling now.
I'm not fully trolling. I mean, I'm joking about the name, but
in a draft situation, you're not. He's in your first 2 picks.
Honestly, I'm like,
what?
The thing is, especially in post-expansion, if you're faster, I think you're winning. If you can get 2 fast units. I just had a few games. I won one against Lee with Light Cavalry with versus Berserker. It's what we can get into, like some counters to Berserker in a different video, because that's a good topic that we haven't really covered, I'd say. But
yeah,
it's still an S tier. There's no denying it.
It is an S tier. So you are trolling. You're calling it mid.
Yeah, I mean, just like that's the name I call it when I'm playing, because either when I play with it and I lose and I get upset, or when I beat somebody and I'm like, it's mid-Zerker. It's like, it's not Berserker. It's not. Because, I don't know. Some people have like this thing about it where it's like, it can't be beat. Yeah. There's nothing you can do. And I don't think there's any unit that's cracked that like is broken. A little bit harder without fortifications, but...
Okay. But yeah, it's a fur. You can't go wrong first picking it if you're new. It's very good.
It is. I think it's a little trickier than some of the others to get going.
Well,
it takes a little time to.
At least you don't want your opponent to have it, even if you don't know how to play it right.
It's a top ban.
Yeah, often banned unit. All right, here's an interesting one: Cavalry. So, I want to put it in. I'm an A for this.
I'm feeling B for me, but
down to B.
It's a tough one. There's like, I guess this is kind of the thing where if we're talking full expansion, I don't think it's nearly as good.
Okay.
It's lost a lot of its zest. There's other units that I think are just better picks. It just feels to me like it's never first pick, and they're very rarely first pick.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's a tough one. If only we had more tiers to like pick.
I don't mind putting it in B because we can adjust it later. I like the start because it's the worst, the best, and the mid.
Yeah, we might get a good...
or not the mid, I guess, the good.
Yeah, the good, but it's in the middle, though.
I was trying to do with an exercise, which you saw, we're talking in Discord, about types of units, and this really only is relevant in my experience of like units that gain tempo, very obviously. So cavalry gets to attack, move, and then attack. So you really get 2 actions out of that when it happens. How powerful that is. It's almost like you get double the actions out of it, comparing it to something like a Crossbowman, for example, who we're going to rate in a second, or Knight. You always can only do one thing with those units. They never gain anything for you other than the value they gain, 1-to-1. The cavalry can gain you a lot of value, and tempo units like cavalry, like light cavalry, which move. This is move attack. Even swordsmen who attack move. I rate those higher. I think that's a really tangible value that snowballs as the game goes on because you just generate more activity over the same period of time as slower units. And getting more tempo units on your team gives your whole team more tempo, makes you a lot faster. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like Crossbowman's going to go next. I will put him in B.
I think those two are often, like, in my mind, almost like the Lancer Archer debate in my head. Like, which one I'm going to choose between these two.
See, for me, I would always pick cavalry.
And there was an interesting discussion on the War Chest Discord, the War Chest Online one, just about how much do you value the number of coins.
Yeah, interesting one.
That matters.
Yeah.
I've thought about it some more. I think it matters a little bit more than I maybe give it credit, because especially endgame, like that last unit, if you can have that one more coin to take one extra hit. Like, if I'm going to do a heads up between these two, I would just take crossbow.
Interesting.
Just because I know I can take that one hit and balance out.
Because you can bolster them easily and then do the trades and trade and end up winning. You can take a hit and then still end up ahead. Mm-hmm. That's interesting that you'd pick that. I would pick cavalry every time, especially if they're head to head, because I feel like cavalry is stronger against crossbow because it can it can sit in the blind spot and then get in.
It's got the blind spot.
But what you're saying is a good counter. Like, well, they could take that hit and still have a coin behind. Mm-hmm. So that's it's valuable.
But I do rank them pretty evenly though. Like, they're both high utility units. I think they have like a good strength. They both have good utility, I guess is what I'm saying.
The battle of attrition where that comes into play, I think, is a kind of a higher level gameplay. Like, a lot of newer players don't get that far into games.
Yeah, I guess. A lot of them do end that way. I think if you keep playing, you're going to end up just like it's going to boil down to those last units.
Yeah, I mean, when games go there, then the chip count really matters. That's what I'm saying. Like, when games go to the end, you're like, who has the most bodies, and that really matters. But I think like that situation is kind of rare among new and mid-level players, more common in the higher echelon. Mm-hmm. And I think, for a couple of reasons. If you're a new player and you play a better player, they'll beat you almost certainly before it gets there. And if you're a new player fighting a new player, then you're both playing suboptimally enough where you're just not being efficient, and the game will kind of slop its way to a conclusion without the pinpoint fatalities happening. And then in the higher level games where players are not making sloppy mistakes, they're protecting the points well. It's much more of a position game and much more of a who can stack the body count game, and then that extra chip could really be the difference.
Mm-hmm. So it's something to keep in mind. I don't know, I think maybe we could visit this at the end, but that one graph, the person who had taken a bunch of data from the BGA online site,
sure,
and the wins versus losses of these units. Maybe you can compare to like how we're ranking.
Oh, yeah, I'll compare that to our ranks.
One of the shocking things was how low crossbow was.
Low as in its lose rate?
Lose rate, very low.
Players with crossbow lost more often.
Yeah.
Very low? I'm not familiar with what you're talking. I mean, I know the data, but I never saw that graph, or we'll take a look at it.
Probably the most shocking thing I saw, actually, was how low crossbow was. So,
interesting.
It's a limited data set, so we can't fully, go all the way there.
Ensign.
All right, so are we going mid or poor?
Mid.
Mid?
So mid's I consider Ensign a pretty lame unit. It's a body that has adjacency. It has an ability which, I would say is fairly inconsequential almost always.
There are very fun situations, but...
Yeah. I mean, it does have an ability, and it's relevant. But for the most part, it's just a guy. And if you're just a guy, you're going to be mid. And you got to work to be lower than mid, which Archer does.
I was also thinking about units that depend on another unit to use its ability. Mm-hmm. So that would be...
That's bad. That's worse, right?
Yeah, I would say it's worse.
It's less versatility because you can't just always get it. You got to have the right circumstances to get it.
I think that's essentially Ensign, Marshal, and War Wagon half.
Wagon-ish. Yeah, I mean, yeah, halfway.
I guess those would be the ones that sort of rely on the other.
Yeah, Herald has an ability that is adjacent based with the bolster, but Herald's got other talents.
Yeah. Yeah, it has Herald way high on that list of that graph that we're mentioned. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Shocking also.
So you agree with this mid?
Yeah, absolutely.
Footman. So
I'm going to put that in mid, honestly. I feel like it got a real bad rap early on, like but it's better than Archer. Like,
yeah,
late game too, it becomes a little more in play,
right?
Especially because I've already bolstered it off early, but I want to get a point in the other spot. I could recruit and deploy somewhere else. It has good defensive abilities. If you just want to plug up an extra hole.
Yep. It's that plugging. I mean, it's a dude, and its ability is often more relevant than Ensign's even, especially if the game goes late when it becomes very good. You get this really big burst of speed late in the game when it matters a ton, because you get to have a fast bag, but you get to move 2 units with that fast bag. It gets pretty intense. I love the ability to put him in a forward spot. You still have the one in the back, but you also put one in a forward spot to block it for whatever reason, and then if circumstances play out right, you start moving him. Oh, it's so nice.
So you lose tempo to get it there, but then you could make up for that tempo.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm still not fully clear on your tempo theory, but I think we can discuss that in another video.
Well, yeah, or when other ones come up, we can see where it fits. So, Knight. This one's interesting.
I'm going to go with good.
You want to put him up in good.
Personally, that's my spot for it. I feel like...
Yeah.
I feel like I can make an argument of if I'm going head to head against some of these, yes, it only has 4 units, but if I get that advantage of the attack on one, it needs to be bolstered again before it can do that again. So you're losing a lot of tempo to bolster to fight this unit off. It's not the best, but I've definitely had some situations a lot of situations where it just becomes an issue where I can't bolster, and so I cannot defend against this unit.
Mm-hmm. And from a draft perspective, I'm drafting him above these 3 almost always. So that fits.
Yes, yeah.
Lanceoid.
We're gonna go with poor.
He's poor. No adjacency bonus. Kind of awkward to use. Better in siege because he can attack forts,
especially if the fort is placed in the 2 forward.
The direct line spots.
So those give it a little bit of advantage where you can...
Yeah. Killing the fort is good in general, killing the enemy fort. And then he's in position to get in there and block it.
Or if you have a scout, you could do a attack and scout.
The Lancer, the Lance-Scout combo is really nice. But yeah, otherwise Lancer is about like an Archer.
Mitch had a game not too long ago where I should have won, and then... Well... Yeah, it was all these great units. It was just, we all had monster units, but his was Berserker, Warrior Priest, and I kept I was going through the bosses, I kept going through these final bosses, and then I finally took them all out. And then he brings out the Lancer's last unit, and then he just squeaks by a win. I'm like, oh god. So
yeah,
it has use. It can win a game, but it's.
I had my phase where I wanted to make Lancer happen. And I would I wouldn't draft him higher, but when I got him, I would recruit him. And I go, okay, I'm going to recruit Lancer hard. And because he does kind of get good when you have a lot of chips, so you can kill a dude and then position for the next kill right away. It's still bad.
Spruce was talking, it has I have to check what he said exactly, but it has one of the highest kill rates or whatever you want to call it, of any unit.
Kill rate?
It takes more units off the board than...
Yeah. Interesting. I mean,
it kind of makes, but it's also probably has a huge die rate too. I don't know what. I don't know exactly.
A kill death ratio.
Yeah,
I think Berserker. Well, I mean, probably wasn't the best, right? Berserker probably is the best at that because he chops trees down.
Yeah, or maybe Warrior Priest.
Yeah, Warrior Priest.
Some of those other S's that we'll get to. This is a straight S all day.
Oh, S. Yeah. Okay. For me, it's been more in the A zone in my mind, but
no, like I don't know. I feel like players better than me value this higher. Like they'll take, like I got Warrior Priest and I'm like, oh, they don't have a good defense, and they're just like, I'm just gonna
rush down.
And remember that we did a video where it was a final, and it was Bannerman versus like Cavalry, and we're like, Bannerman's just gonna win this, and then like just the very end, they just took initiative and just got the last point, and just like, wow.
Yeah, Cavalry with some initiative takes can take a lot of points. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. We'll see if we can revisit it later. I was going to put it in A, was my instinct, just because I haven't seen myself first picking this in probably 1,000 games.
Really?
I would take Earl over it. Certainly Warrior Priest, Bannerman, and Berserker.
I would not take Earl over that.
Yeah.
No way.
Well.
No way, no how. But that's okay. Marshall will go back to mid.
Marshall's a mid. Yeah, very Ensign-like. Marshall and Ensign are like the same dude to me.
They do have like that pair of like, who am I gonna pick between these two?
In this way, I don't really think about it. I barely think about it. It's really like, is there a synergy with movement or with attacks that I don't want my enemy to get, or that I get? You know, like Warrior Priest, Marshall. But Ensign is a synergy with Warrior Priest too.
When then Bannerman, Ensign, like sort of that, or it's like, I don't want Berserker to have Ensign, so I will maybe take that. So usually it's like a hate draft choice.
It's super fringe,
but you're not choosing it top tier. You should not be.
Mark.
So, I mean, I gotta go S personally.
My mess.
The ability to get off the board and not get clogged up
off the starting point.
Off the starting point.
Yeah,
is just.
He has so I mean, yeah, that's a benefit that really help. Like almost everything that has that, I'm gonna put it.
Which is why you choose Earl.
Yes, yeah. So Earl is guaranteed off the point, which I hate getting messy hand. That just avoids that. But Mercenary, same thing. You can always get him off the point. He also has a very unique potential to really rush down that first. You can just go all in and always get that point and defend it. I mean, not always. There's, like weird fringe like Bannerman, Cavalry shit, but like having that in your pocket, like I can always just rush that down and play the speed game.
That is like,
it's insane.
I still do it, but I also find out like it doesn't always work. Like you invest so much to do that attack, and then like suddenly it doesn't work. So the other benefit of this unit is you can just bolster it off and know that you'll be able to get it whenever you need it. Like, I don't need to get this last point with it, because as soon as at my last point, the next 2 turns, if I'm next to a point, there it is. Like, just having the coins in ready to recruit is good, great. But I mean, on the other flip side, once they're all recruited, it's just a regular unit, just a guy, just a mid unit.
I really like that, and that's going to happen with this potion guy too later, where it's a limited benefit off how many recruits you get, and I really love that. I think it's really elegant power of how to do limited effect, but that just meshes into the game so smoothly.
It also has like the downside of every time you do it, you're making your bag bigger.
Yep. Worth noting that with Enlist, the Enlist Mercenary combo is absolutely insane. You get two full actions off of him right away, and that's very powerful. You can have that, anytime you want.
Yeah, Enlist. And a little reinforce.
Yeah, reinforce synergy. He's got a lot of good synergy with many of the
Scout, Bishop.
Decrees is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, the decrees. And with Bishop and with Scout. A lot of good synergy with units and decrees.
All right, Pikeman. My first A?
I'm not ready to do that. I almost feel like it's...
What, S?
No, B.
You're putting Pikeman in B. I mean, I strongly disagree. I think he's an A. Yeah. So he's one of the units I was trying to, where's tempo? What's tempo? He's not tempo, but he always gets value. Like with other units, I mean, barring the Archer and Trebuchet range attacks, whenever they're attacking Pikemen, they're always losing so much tempo to do that. You're always getting that attack. It's so nice to have that like warm and fuzzy blanket. Like no matter what happens, this pikeman's going to do a ton of work every game, unless they avoid him, in which case he just marches around and takes all their points.
I found that like I lose more if I avoid the issue. Like, if there's a pikeman, like you sometimes just got to bite the bullet and. There was
a game we reviewed that had that situation too, where somebody was just avoiding the pikeman and it was just so rough on them. He was like all the way up in their back ranks, just taking stuff.
Just avoid it.
But yeah, I mean, I just love that. Like the ability, like he can attack and do. He's a regular dude, but a regular dude that you can't remove without just paying such a devastating toll.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would choose it above.
Yeah,
those three, but honestly, it's close for me though.
Okay. Well, we can readjust.
Yeah, we can.
Royal Guard.
I'm going A personally. I don't know if you were going to go B.
No, I was going to go A, and I was going to say I've been really warmed up on him in my.
That's just a beast. Like
yeah, he's such a.
You can almost guarantee a hold for like one position, and then march down if you need to whenever.
You just go and do anything he wants. He can just go around, do anything he wants. He doesn't care.
I remember when I was first learning, like I was trying to attack that, and you said the better you're almost always better off not trying to attack.
He's kind of like Pikeman. He's got the same Pikeman, not the same, but like you just want to avoid him, and it's just so annoying to get involved with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got that bonus ability where he can teleport, which is so good.
So tricky too. There's so much like fun little moments there where you're like, you're just gonna hop back.
Yeah, you just hop in, or he can you can bolster him off on the starting point and then hop him in the middle. Later. I love that. I love hopping in between like the two spots, like you go to the edge and then hop back to the center. And the ability to utilize the useless royal coin to do something that affects the board, that's so good, and it's often a surprise.
And we're talking the updated version of this unit, just so.
Yeah, there's an old version that would
probably be S tier. Yeah.
Yeah, that old version it's easy. It's whenever you can use a royal coin as if it's a royal guard coin.
So you can move with it in small bag and it's just.
So small bag royal guard is just 3 royal guard coins. All the time,
and can take 3 hits.
And he's bolstered and can teleport.
Yeah,
no, he couldn't teleport.
But just move.
He just could move. Yeah, but yeah, he's very good. And I was thinking the siege tower, you deploy him and automatically bolster him. And that's a really cool benefit. It's a really powerful effect. Well, Royal Guard does that too. He's essentially comes out bolstered 3 times.
Yeah.
And if you like the siege tower benefit, then Royal Guard is actually way stronger because he has all 3 bolsters right away, and you can use them if you want. It's like if you can rewrite his ability to be different, comes out bolstered 4 times, and you can take the bolster chip off him and put it in your bag. Kind of like what a recruit would be.
That would be an interesting way to look at it, but I suppose that's.
Yeah, I mean that's I guess it's some weird rules minutia, but that's just if you think about what if all that benefit was on him, be like, wow, that unit seems totally insane. Well, that's what he is, and also he can teleport around. It's like, wow, what a guy.
And it just finishes off too. There's a lot of end games that will just boil down to these last 2, and you just can't do anything about it. Just kind of shuffle in.
Yeah, I love him.
The Dashu shuffle.
I would have said he was mid for a long time.
Wow.
And now it's now he's very high.
He's a rock. Yeah.
Scout.
I'm going A.
Yeah, I'm A on Scout as well. He can always end up, well, not always, I guess, but
except for the great scout coin open.
Yeah, scout coin, but you can usually deploy him even though avoids getting clogged. You can do really weird rush downs with him where Mercenary or Lancer can just put him on a spot.
It's just all about speed with this when it helps.
The redeploy tricks you can do with him are so insane.
Redeploy, and it works with a sacrifice.
Yep, you can sacrifice
him. And then redeploy.
You can just put him in a really risky position where it's they have to kill him and they don't want to.
Just keep plopping him.
Yeah, and they do kill him, and then you can put him on the other side of the board all of a sudden, reposition, and really screw up their plans.
I had a fun game against Lee where I just kept putting a scout in there. He had to kill it, and then I flipped another one, and then eventually his bag was too big, and then it's finally I got this last point. It was great.
I love it. Yeah, I love Scout. It's a top pick for me.
All right, so I'm
Sword.
going to B+.
B+? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I'm also getting warmer on Swordsman.
Ooh. See, this is where I'm I think I'm choosing Sword over Pikeman.
Wow, that's...
all day, actually.
Wow. I think that's completely bonkers. But you like Swordsman more than most people.
I think you'll see. Yeah, I don't know. It's just
The late game potential so good.
late game, and you can do like early game issues with. It has 5 coins, so it can bolster up, can be real thick.
Yep.
And like
A 3-stack Swordsman walking around is so annoying.
and just like, oh, I'm gonna take a hit and then I'm gonna hit you and then move out of the way. So it's very defensive, but also very aggressive with the attack and to land on a location.
Good in siege because you can kill the fort and get on the point. You kind of like negate fort's benefit that way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is just I mean, obviously it's all personal biases, but yeah.
Well,
I mean,
so you want to put him up here? You said
I would either that or Pikeman goes down with him, but
I mean, I'm never picking. I'm always picking Cavalry over Swordsman every time.
you're two in a base game mode, I think.
I'm 100% picking Pikeman over both of them. I could never. I couldn't do it.
Wow.
It's not high enough for me.
Well,
we got a disagreement. I don't know what we do. What do we do? What do we add a new? Should we add a new one? We can. Let's add a new one.
Well, then we got to put oh no, now we're causing problems.
B plus, and this will be good plus.
It's the swordsman spot. See, now does Pikeman go there with him?
Wait, what the hell? No, I changed this.
Oh boy. We can keep it at whatever.
That's
it was.
still good. No, I like it because this is important.
Okay.
This is B plus now. Good plus. And that is B plus, and this is B. And Swordsman can go there. I mean, I still like. Then does Cavalry go there too or not? Do all these move up?
That's the problem.
Well, I'll put him here. We'll put him here.
Okay.
But Pikeman is just too good. I can't. Will I take Scout or Royal Guard over Pikeman? Which of these am I first picking?
See, this is weird because I'm asking, do I take Scout or Sword?
You don't even care about these two.
No, I would take Royal Guard over Sword in most cases.
Okay.
It's one of those things where I don't always choose Swordsman, but I'm always pissed off when my opponent gets him. Like, God, I really wanted that, but there's usually something better to pick.
Yeah, we'll leave him a good plus for now and not move anyone else and see what happens.
Yeah, let's take a peek. S
tier.
We've done a video on this guy.
Yeah, small bag priest wins games.
It's one of the tops.
I mean, it is pretty tricky for like a new player to understand why. As like a typical player, when you're not doing small bag strats, it is still really good because you're.
Yeah, it would be an A, I would say.
It would be an A. You're always getting that tempo boost whenever you control or attack. You can combo into itself or any other unit, and you get, that. I mean, I guess that's the tempo gain.
But comboing into itself infinitely is the ultimate strat here, and It's hard to counter.
Very hard to counter. Bannerman's next. Wait, I guess not alphabetical because Bannerman is now here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
new.
Yeah, it's expansion. So we're expand. These are the base game units. Oh, here, base game.
Well, there we have it.
This is the base game set. Let's think about it. I think this is correct. I think this is correct. I think that is correct. I mean, this is arguing on where it is. Otherwise, I'm really happy with this list.
Yeah, that looks good to me.
All right, then. Moving into, what's it even called? What the hell is expansion
Nobility.
called? Nobility, that's right. Bannerman, he's an S.
That's an S tier. That's an easy one.
Another very much like us,
I would argue probably the hardest to counter.
Yeah.
And I want to make a video about countering Bannerman because it's.
I will watch that video.
Well, you're gonna make that video with me. So.
Yeah, he's also, as a typical regular play, you always get that very annoying, pestering. I mean, essentially, you can't kill him. Like, he pushes you away. You get near him,
yeah.
He can either just step somewhere and kick you away, or hit you and then push a different guy away. Really hard to kill. You need like a cavalry or a berserker to get to him. If you're small bagging him, then it just makes it almost impossible to do anything unless you can take initiative and do some kind of tricks.
There's a few tricks that
but
we can cover.
It's resorting to tricks. Like there's no straight way to like.
It's very complicated to counter if you don't have the right units.
Yeah, he can easily
hold,
hold,
but it's very hard.
He can hold his own against two units, like pretty easily, and get and just generate advantage.
Generally, but like that's where it comes down to like speed. Like if I have to choose Bannerman and there's a March with Earl Herald combo, I'm not happy about that. Yeah. Earl Herald combo is just gonna speed down. There's ways, but it's
it depends on the texture of the draft. But yeah, you have to. That's like these units, Warrior Priest and Bannerman, are like really, what is the draft? How am I going to beat these units? Mm-hmm. And that's really a lot of thought going into that. All right, Bishop Boy.
Are you feeling A? And now that we have B plus
I'm B plusing him if we have a B plus tier. I don't think he's A. I would usually not pick him over those three that are there.
See, I would choose him over Pikeman.
Yeah, you don't like Pikeman. You're low on
I don't hate Pikeman. Pikeman has value, but I just think he's slow, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, Bishop is very good. He's got a cool ability. You can recruit when you use him. That's cool. He's got a second good ability where you can't be bolstered.
I would argue even stronger.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a better ability because it's...
such a thorn in your side when it's like you have to deal with like, how am I going to attack this guy but I can't be bolstered?
Yeah, and he can be bolstered.
So
you're running around with a 3-stack Bishop, and you can't bolster to hit him. He can just... He holds his... This is another thing this is a good topic. Losing your units and what that means. Losing your units is such a tempo loss. Like imagine you're marching a unit up to one of the opposing points. You had to move forward 3 times to get to the point. You maybe had to do some fighting in there to kill a guy. Then you got to the point to maybe capture it, and then whatever happens, you get killed. Cavalry jumps out and kills you. You lost 4 or 5 chips worth of value off that unit, and then he died, and you got you're all back to start. That's like so rough. But the Bishop, he can. I mean, you bolster. I mean, that's why we bolster. This is why we bolster. So you can go take those hits and not lose all that walking tempo, right? Mm-hmm. Bishop says, "Oh, you can't bolster." Now when you get hit, you go back to start, and he can go in there and start like killing your guys off, and they are all resetting, and it causes you such a tempo loss. You can't bolster to stand your ground against him, and he can stand his ground.
It's definitely a double-edged sword because you feel like you're not min-maxing if you're not using the ability when you're moving.
Oh,
but
sure.
It's so easy to over-recruit with him.
Yeah.
Like, it's tricky, and like I've definitely ended up with like these just giant messes because I'm like, I have all these units because I just can't not recruit with them.
I would almost say for newer players to just pretend that ability doesn't exist.
It's not bad advice.
And just use him for his bolster ability and like not really. Don't worry about that. Like his second ability, don't think that as a value add. Think of it as a very situational thing you do. It's like
it's good late game. It has synergy with like we've talked about like Mercenary.
Right. Think of it like a redeploy, right? Like redeploy is there, and if you have a coin in your hand, you're like, oh shit, I'm going to redeploy. Well, you don't always want to redeploy because it's not. You want to do it when it makes sense.
But save it.
Yeah, with him, you always have that option. You always can do the thing, but you don't always need to do the thing. You can do it later. So I think the over filling your bag up is bad. So he's kind of like a poison drink in that way a little bit.
One counter is the Royal Guard doesn't need to bolster and can take on the Bishop. Yeah,
Royal Guard can stay small and still be bolstered. Very good. Oh yeah, and Bishop obviously matches up very well against Knight because Knight he can fight Knight as a bolstered unit, and Knight can't fight back as a bolstered unit. So he's kind of like he has the opposite thing. And you got to bolster if you have them together. That's cool, because then you have a kind of like annoying. Could I fight Knight or Bishop?
Extra annoying, yeah.
That's fun. Siege Tower, which we'll get to later, starts bolstered. Yeah, I mean,
so a good combo, like a good
but
counter.
Bishop is,
it's like, I know that Siege Tower's gonna be there. Here's a good counter to that.
Yeah, if they're both in the draft, you go, okay, I could take Bishop, and then if they get Siege Tower, it's not so bad because I have this immune unit, so that's kind of cool. Bishop's good. I think B+ makes sense for him. I would.
You'd still go Cavalry. You love Cavalry.
I do love Cavalry. I do.
I feel like it's like a small bag Cavalry in base game is really good, especially if there's like not a good counter to it. Mm-hmm. And like I feel like I want to like there's the most humiliating like beatdowns you can put on someone is like
Cavalry
with Cavalry
checkers.
Just Like it's just like like when you lose to it, like when it's just really like it's a small band, it's just like, oh, I just can't do anything, and just ruins the entire board. Like I've definitely suffered.
There's these awful situations for the opponent, they can get into where if you can take initiative with a small bag cavalry, you can do a double strike, and then the next turn you're in position to strike again, and they're not, and they have to like either move out of the way, and then you can kill them, and then once you're in their guts with an active cavalry, they can't even deploy their guys anymore.
Yeah, because as soon as you do, it's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. Like I would always take it over Swordsman. In this bishop cavalry, I would be picking between these two.
Yeah, I feel like there's such like a blob here between B plus, and A to me. Like I feel like
there's a lot of nuance.
There's like it's very situational. Like we could keep expanding more tiers, or we could almost put all these guys into. Because when I'm drafting, I'm looking at like S, good, and then...
Should we just have 3 tiers?
Go down to 3 now.
Let's delete these tiers.
Let's just keep going for now, but maybe that's what
we'll end Early boy, is he S?
No. I was almost saying B+.
Oh my god.
So situational.
What? It's the least situational of almost any of these.
He depends very much on his...
on his decrees. I mean, he does.
I'd go A. A is fine because of the ability to get off the base.
He always gets off the base. He's 5 chips, and it does he does float based on how strong the decrees are, because obviously he hits those decrees, but he does get the decrees, even the bad ones, and the value you get off those decrees is often very good. Could be bad, right? Like,
sometimes you can't guard, and
in the worst case, it's annoying. But then you just bolster him off, and then wake him up later, and you still get that value. I've played so many, like all of my funniest games have been Earl games where it's like, oh, I reinforced 3 times, and then the coin, and they just can't kill my units, or I've spied like 4 times. Like there's just so many fun situations. He's the funnest unit, maybe. Him and Herald are the most fun. They're the fun bros.
Sure. And then they have the duo, the combo of those two. It's just like...
Don't even get me started on that. So I'm A on Herald.
I'm stronger A on Herald than Earl.
Okay, yeah.
But similarly, this is a unit that almost kind of has like a Royal Guard vibe, in a sense that I can just bolster it off and not worry about it, and then when I do my actions, it's like I have that action, but I have a simplified bag, but I'm still getting its use. Yeah. And then you also have just so much different, synergies and what you can do with it. Extra action every time. It boils down to the extra action is what we're talking about. You get at least 3 if you're using it correctly.
Yep, you get 3 extra actions with him. There's a big element of surprise there. It makes your play really unpredictable because your hand could be, Herald coins and the Royal coin, and then with the Royal coin you can take so many different actions that all activate the Herald. So to play around like a Herald situation, you
get like a double stacked Herald with sacrifice, like you can't go near it because that'll attack twice.
Redeploy and defend.
Redeploy, then
double guard.
Double guard
are also good, or you mix it up with this guy guards and then he attacks a different guy, or like it's so hard to play around a situation where Herald's active.
Super high on that list. That other list we were talking about.
Of like winning players. Mm-hmm. Well, he's got a high skill cap. Like, better players will get much more use out of him.
Yeah, that list that was only like 600 and above that he took games from.
Oh, there it is. I wonder why Crossbow's so bad on that, huh?
Really shocking. But we can pull it up at the end and maybe discuss it, or do a second video.
Also, minor benefit here is he's got 5 coins, which is great. He also, not as good as Earl, but often can get off the first point with the coin use, like an early spy.
Or enlister.
Enlist, and even a march could get him off that. Well, I mean, I guess you could just get him off without marching him. But, enlist and spy are good throwaway ones. Where
March is also like,
Yeah, him with March is really good.
Just that double move action is huge.
And then he's got that bolster effect, which, is an interesting bonus. You can bolster another unit.
I almost forgot.
Yeah, he's got this secret ability. You can bolster units with him, and which is the surprise factor. Off a coin use, you can use him to bolster a different unit, which has been some of the most like out of nowhere surprise, holds you can have. Where like they're in position to kill your swordsman, and this guy's not in position. You can do a guard and then stack him.
A lot of fun surprises.
It's wild.
I remember I was facing I think it was a dash game, and Bishop. I had a bishop, and Herald's bolstered. I'm like, I'm fine. He sacrifices a fort, so he goes down to 1, and then he attacks me. So and it was just like, what a beautiful little
sacrifice and that's a highlight.
Yeah, it wasn't like
that's one of those. That's that Joe Rogan clip, like
it was
shocking.
I was able to do it on some other people with this. Yeah, so beautiful.
I love it. All right, the Sap Man.
I'm going. Wow.
I'm in.
Oh man.
Yeah, I guess
I'm A tier. I'm A tier.
You're A on him, huh?
Don't sleep on the Sapper. The Sap Man.
All the way up in A. I mean, I'm
just that ability.
Almost always picking these in front of him, but
I'm definitely picking him over Pikeman.
I maybe will pick him over these. I pick him over Swordsman. I'll give you that.
See, it's funny. I have the Swordsman and Sapper are like in that same part for me, where I'm like, who do I want more? Because they both kind of have they're very different, but they're like that end game sort of ability where I can just walk into a base, and if you can't kill me twice, if you can't attack me twice, I'm going to win.
Yeah, it generates a lot of value there.
And Swordsman has the combo to it, actually. It's like I can attack your fort that you just made and walk in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm willing to leave him on A. I think that I play him worse than people who play him well. I've lost a lot of games where the late game Sapper's too good. He often has the benefits of a cavalry if he walks towards forts.
Yep.
In that way, and then he also has an automatic bolster in how he makes forts where he goes. So he gets a lot of tempo there, which should put him close to cavalry for me. Which I think this is too low for cavalry personally. So I would kind of have him in this area.
I think we're just going to go towards the getting rid of 2 tiers here.
The Siege Tower.
B plus?
To me, that's an A.
That's an A? All right. I'm fine with A.
Yeah, I love his... he is very hard to approach. I like getting up to a 3 size. So he automatically goes to 2, which is awesome. And then you can get him up to 3.
Then you take that attack.
Take an attack. And then usually you want a bolster deuce to go, to fight him. Or actually, you shouldn't, right? You should not bolster deuce to fight him.
Yeah, or go triple bolster.
Yeah, you got to go so high. But yeah, he can just run around and take a hit and then still kill a fort, kill the defender, and then stand there. And then you're like, oh, God, do I deploy a guy here?
And I found it's like a good counter to Royal Guard even. That's a way to get rid of those coins quickly.
Yeah, you can beat up Royal Guard pretty good. Yeah, I like him. And just starting bolstered is really good. When he's bolstered, he does 2 attacks. But just the effect of starting bolstered, that's such a accelerant of having a bolstered unit on the board right away.
Yeah, it's just simple numbers game, good for defense.
You just get that beef on the table, and you just start with that. Just start with that boost. It's like Royal Guard. He starts bolstered 3 times right away, which is awesome. So yeah, I love Siege Tower.
All right, should we make a new tier?
Sub D.
Sub D minus.
Yeah, we will.
This is the worst unit. We're not gonna
add row below.
We're not gonna pull our punches. We're gonna. It is. It's the same as the others in the fact that it doesn't have the adjacent attack, but it's just even more limited in its ability. A, you have to bolster it to get it to work.
God.
Then B, you can't attack. You have to be a certain space away. You have to be 2 away in a straight line. So it's like the worst of all the worlds here.
We should... honestly, the unit is straight up broken. I don't know what they were thinking making it. It's so bad. It's unplayable. They screwed up when they developed this. And I don't know how they developed this unit and let it be the way that it is and released it.
Before they took it to... I don't think they did mass play testing.
Oh, I don't know. This is something I talk about. I don't know if we've ever had a video on it, but how much play testing can a developer of a game do? To a new player, going back to Archer, to a new player, Archer seems so overpowered. Mm-hmm. Which is the question, why is Archer only 4 chips? It's so bad. Why can't it be 5 chips? Because the amount of playtesting they do is just not sufficient to
They're
get to
new
a
players.
Yeah, they are new. They never reach a tier where they're like Archer is actually the worst unit, so they think range is really good, and that's why both Lancer and Archer have 4 coins because range is really powerful. It feels overpowered. So Trebuchet is like way more range.
But you'd think, like, the game has been around
Right.
long enough for them to realize, like,
Now we know. Now we know that range is actually bad, and Trebuchet is just atrocious. We should make a whole separate video on ways to fix Trebuchet to make it playable.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned in some of the videos before, but yeah, it's so frustrating. And again, there have been games I've played them, and it's happened to us where it pulls off some win or it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Half the time when it works is like you have it bolstered and you just
Walk around.
No, you don't notice that they recruited that third one later on. You're like, what? When did this happen? And then suddenly you just lose. You're like,
they kill your Bannerman, and you're like, oh, what the?
You just weren't paying attention, and then
Yeah,
it's
never
and-
draft
yeah,
it. Never
yeah.
draft it. It's always last pick.
It's last pick or it's eliminated from the draft.
Yeah, if you're first ban, you might want to ban Trebuchet.
Just so you don't end up with it.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah.
All right, Wagon. I like it in B.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
It's a cool unit. It's kind of annoying to set up. Depends on having other units near it.
It's kind of like that, dependent. But it has the push ability, I feel like, seems cooler, but actually less value than just the ability to suck up shots.
Oh, for sure. My favorite use of War Wagon is to redeploy it somewhere else to back up a unit. That's the tricky. I love the surprise.
The tricks.
You have them somewhere, like you can have them push someone up, like one side, and then they're like sitting there. You bolster it off, right? You're done with it, and then you just redeploy it somewhere else. And even in its bolstered off state, the statue of a War Wagon can just support like some.
Suddenly you can't do anything about.
Yeah, now your Earl is advancing and it's got 3 hit points, and I love that move. But
works well with Earl because Earl can get off early. Because I find it becomes a hindrance quite often, especially if it's like I have to deploy this first because you want it behind units, and then now it's got to be in an awkward position, and it's just tricky and difficult to set up perfectly.
Only 4 chips. Which is for a unit that wants to get hit. That's kind of annoying. Reinforce kind of great with it. That's a little synergy there. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. I like it, but it's not better than good units.
Yeah, I guess the other shock I'd say in that one graph is this was the lowest next besides Trebuchet.
Wow, that bad.
That bad.
Below Lancer, below Archer,
below those.
Wow. Interesting.
There's a lot to like unpack there though, like because oftentimes I think it's banned a lot too.
Wagon.
It's kind of like not like top banned, but often it's just one of those units like if I'm if we want to draft strategy quick, like I don't want to always necessarily ban the best unit if that's gonna like leave an S tier and no S tier for me. So maybe I will ban the middle tier.
Yeah.
And so I want an S tier and my opponent wants one.
I mean,
or vice versa. I'm going to give one to my opponent and then I'm going to get an S tier. So I'm going to ban this. Just sort of, it's a nuisance.
I've never, I want to say never seen it banned.
Really?
I've never banned it.
I
believe you, but
I ban it quite a bit when it's one of those mid ones where it's just like I don't want to deal with this, and I'll fight you with the units that are on the board. All right, so moving forward, I mean, I'm kind of...
played like... I mean, you played more than I have.
Yeah, maybe
but
like
I
2
played,
dozen.
I played 3 games with these units, but I'll give my... I don't remember what they do, honestly.
So that's Assassin. It has that... it has the Cavalry move, but it doesn't attack. It poisons. And then it also has that ability of... If it's poisoned, it can remove from the supply...
If it's poisoned and it attacks,
it can remove.
It does the attack
plus
kills a reserved unit. So if it does a cavalry attack, it poisons, and then it has to attack adjacently.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean I'll put that on good.
Yeah.
Right, because it has some bonus tempo. It has that attrition attack. Is kind of interesting. It's a unique ability that doesn't exist yet, but that seems really good late game to just hurt their reserves. And poison means they can't move.
Poison,
that could save the day in a lot of cases. You can poison someone from controlling a point. You can poison someone from attacking one of your other units.
Yeah, maybe we should check what it actually is. I'm wondering if it's attack and or if it's just attack, or you may just remove. I don't remember.
If it's attack and hit their supply?
Yeah, it's attack.
It seems like you would always attack then, because affecting the board is so much better.
We should probably check, huh?
Yeah, we should check. But I don't want to get it out right now.
We won't leave.
These are very light because we don't know how to play them. All right, this locksmith guy, the saboteur, right? When he controls, he puts a dead ship in their bag. That's what this guy does?
So it's not the infiltrate. Yeah, that's the saboteur.
Infiltrator and saboteur. Well, this is the saboteur, the potion guy.
That's the saboteur?
This is the infiltrator.
Yeah.
So when he controls, he puts a lock in their bag, which is a dead ship they have to just discard.
Another nuisance.
But that's it, right? That's all he does.
No. I feel like this one is going to be one of those late game, where people come around to it later. Because it has this ability of moving on to an enemy's controlled point and instantly converting it to yours.
Oh, yeah. He could take an extra action. Yeah, he can automatically flip.
So that's huge.
Later, yeah.
But it obviously doesn't happen right away. And quite often when I see it being used, it's like you just go to a spot, make your one control with it, then bolster it off, and there it sits. And there's a little tempo mess up with your lock in the bag, but...
Yeah, so so realistically speaking, you're going to control your first point with him and put a lock in their bag, and that's annoying. Mm-hmm. And then the game starts, and then if it goes late game, he's very powerful with the flips.
Yeah, if you... especially if you're not careful where you...
Yeah, I mean, I see that as good. He's better than the bottom ones, but probably not as active as the top ones.
No.
All right, Saboteur, this is the guy that's like the Mercenary, where when you recruit him, he fires an archer shot.
Yeah.
That is a poison arrow. But he does have adjacent attacks.
He has adjacent attack. My gut... And you can also... Can you poison without recruiting? You can still...
I don't remember.
We're so bad at this.
Yeah, we don't know this. I think it's... I want to say it's only on recruit, because that's why I'm so enamored by him, but I have to check. But I'll put it... I mean, I put him here.
I think I'm putting an A.
Way up there, an A?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I would need to read it, but make sure I know him right. If he can do it anytime, I think that he's an A.
I think he can.
Is he a 5 stack?
5. Oh, see, I don't remember either. I know they switched him around a little bit.
I really don't remember.
I think it started off 5, but I don't...
Well, like I said, these are light. These are light recommends at this point.
Yeah.
And this is the guy that whenever he is attacked, you put a decoy in their bag.
Is that it?
God, we can't do this shit. We'll put him... I don't know. We'll just leave. We'll just...
B+. Because he also has...
I honestly don't remember.
He has the like cavalry type movement.
He does.
He can move 2 spaces if it's next to an enemy.
Oh, wow, okay.
So that, especially with early rush, and then it can absorb 1 attack.
Oh, he can absorb an attack. God damn, I have no idea how this guy works.
Yeah.
So if they attack him, they do nothing but get a decoy?
Yeah, and then...
So he's like bolstered automatically?
Yeah. And then
okay.
I can choose to hold on to that decoy to kill that guy. Or...
Oh, because you give it back.
Or if I give it... So every time I give it back, I have to go through that again.
Oh, okay. So he's like bolstered, and if you unbolster him, you have this lead weight in your bag.
And he has like a speed action if... Okay. It's limited, but it's...
Well, I put him in B+ then.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we want to do these ones? Or not really, because this is only people that...
Yeah, this is a... We'll pass on those for now.
All right, we'll pass on those. So let's look at this again. So I really love this. The only change I would make is doing this. And then I would be in total agreement with this tier list.
I'd be... we could probably just put all... We should just clump all of them together.
Just cut all... What do you mean? All of these A, B, and B?
All B, B, yeah.
A, B, and B is just one?
I'd be okay with that, too.
Yeah, I would, too. Well... A, B... No, I can't, because A is still A. I would take A above B and B. I would merge B and B together. But A is... I would need another tier.
You want to make more than make less.
I'm pretty happy with this, though.
Yeah. You got to put a
view community rank. What's this do?
Oh no, what happened?
Oh, it didn't work.
Did we lose all our work?
Well, we got it. It's all on tape.
Yeah.
Save. We could save or download. Yeah. So let's look again.
I'd put Pikeman's got to go to B+.
You want to put him down? Okay. I mean, sure.
I can live with this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I lifted him up. You put him down, and now, I mean, I think like this is sore thumb for me. I think the Swordsman's too high, but you like him. That's fine with me. Yeah, this is a pretty good tier list, and I think looking at a tier list like this, it's a really well balanced game. You know, I think this makes a lot of sense. Like, imagine.
You don't want them all top tier. Like, then what?
For sure, yeah. And it's like, imagine if you did this for chess pieces. You know what I mean? And how it would look. And it would be, I think, a lot like this. Where you'd have, queen would be S. Pawn would be poor.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And then you'd have a big, like a nice thick middle of a lot of units where they're kind of like,
Yeah, I mean, point-wise, it goes 9, 5, 3, 3, 1.
Sure, yeah, and if those are tiers... Yeah, I think that's represented here pretty well. Actually, it is for sure, right? You got one top one, two high ones, and then two medium ones and a poor one.
Yeah,
King doesn't really count.
I guess A and B would be flipped in this case.
King would be, what would King be?
King doesn't count.
He doesn't count at all.
It's invalid. Yeah, it's like a point. Like that's.
Well, but I
guess it has.
You're not you're not drafting in chess, but like he moves like better than a pawn, right? So. But also he's such a high risk unit to use. He just got to hide. I guess he'd be poor.
2 points.
He'd be a poor unit. All right. Well, hey, what do you think about our tier list? What would you change, and what's been your experience? All right, we found it. Here it is. Here's the graph. So this graph shows the. I don't know what these numbers mean though.
So on the y-axis we have how often it's recruited. And then,
okay.
And I don't know exactly what that means, but you get the idea. Like,
so Berserker is top recruit,
but then on
the Trebuchet is worst.
Yes, the x-axis is the win-loss ratio.
Okay, so Warrior, Priest, and Bannerman both have. So in order of how they're drafted, Berserker's top, then Bannerman, then Warrior, Priest, then Mercenary, then Herald,
and
like Cavalry and Earl, which is exactly our S tier.
Right, but now look at win ratio.
So we nailed it. Yeah, win ratio. And this is, you said this is top players only, right?
On Board Game Arena, and it's about 600 games, actually. So that's,
600.
Over, 660 games of players over 600 ELO.
Over 600. So this, I'm not even counted here. I'm not even,
I guess
my ELO's not good enough.
You didn't make, I made it some days, some days I'm not.
So this is the top players' draft orders, which is very interesting. And then this is the units and how they win. So Bannerman, Warrior, Priest, and Herald are... Herald,
big winner.
Very big winner, yeah.
That was a bit of a surprise for me, and I've actually been... Because of this, I feel like I choose it a little more.
Sure.
Especially when that question of, like, do I do Earl, Herald?
Like Cavalry is right there, too. Very high pick. Scout.
Scout was a surprise, actually.
Kind of surprised by how successful Scout is. Royal Guard is... Yeah, I mean, that's... Sapper, Siege Tower.
Yep.
And then here's Cavalry, Swordsman.
Pikeman, way down there.
Pikeman is way down there.
Better than Bishop.
Yeah, Bishop is... Bishop and Knight are...
Tied.
Bishop drafted a lot more, though. Interesting stuff. Here's the... where's Ensign? Ensign and Knight are tied on draft order. Crossbowman, very high.
Higher than...
You know what?
But look how bad it's doing. That was a big shock for me. I figured that would be around Cavalry, Swordsman.
Yep. I wonder. It's because
there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but yeah, it's drafted often.
These are all like elimination draft too. So Berserker might be better if it's probably only being allowed if there's a good defense against it.
Yeah, right. But Warrior Priest doesn't care.
Harder to defend against.
Man. I wonder, like, you're banning Berserker and allowing Warrior Priest. Probably a lot of games.
Or Bannerman, like that kind of situation.
Man, that's tough. Yeah, Crossbowman, very interesting.
And then the other outlier...
The War Wagon, really weird spot.
Wagon, highly drafted, but almost as bad as Trebuchet.
Yeah, so bad.
That still, I'm trying to wrap... That's such an anomaly. Like I never loved it because it's just hard.
Yeah. God, that's such a bad win rate.
But I'm thinking that kind of brought me to that thinking about like it requires you to like use another unit, so you're kind of almost wasting time.
Yeah.
With it,
just use the unit and just draft those chips instead. Use the bolsters instead of this backup thing. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder, like, maybe we're just valuing it too high. Maybe everybody is. We should just stop caring about War Wagon.
And that's kind of been like my mentality. It's like I'm just like it sucks when I have to deal with it, but yeah, even like my last Smart League giant marathon we had, like I was all frustrated that he was like going just massive on that.
Let's compare.
Yeah, we can compare versus our draft choices, and we can also compare versus.
So these 5 are our S tiers, and we're saying we recommend this as a top draft choices, which are perfectly captured here. Like Cavalry, I say is not perfectly captured.
Herald honestly should be, if we.
I guess we put Herald up here, and now that matches this. And then Earl is just a smidge below these two, which I think is perfect, right? It puts it like, can I put it like...
Yeah, can you order them?
I can. Oh, wow.
All
okay.
right.
Wow. Okay.
Now we
wait
can
a
put
minute.
all those into one.
I didn't even know you could... I thought they were just snapping to alphabetical. So then it would go like this, probably. Like this. What do you think about these two here?
Are we talking draft-wise or...
Yeah, draft-wise.
This is like I think like... At like my core, light cavalry's like still like better, but I'm choosing Mercenary more often.
Mm-hmm. I think this is the order I agree with on this. And then here, Earl's definitely top for me.
Yeah,
that looks pretty good. Going Scout.
Those guys.
And
I'd maybe switch that, but honestly, I'm okay with what you're doing. Like that.
Okay.
Those guys are.
So here, if we had a B+, I mean, I know that I'm hot on these two, and you're hot on this one.
We should just remove the Nightfall for now because this doesn't take it into account.
Let's get rid of my color.
And we don't know how this.
We don't know what they are. These 3. So I guess from our perspective, I would leave it like that, even though it looks like I would now look at this differently. I would actually be. Well, I guess I would put Footman last.
Yeah, Footman not recruited, but almost as winning as Knight and Bishop.
Yeah, Footman is a winner because he's a late game powerhouse. You know, you're stuck with him, you always have him, and then you're winning. This also, if you're first picking one of these units, you're often last picking these units, which is probably like that's pulling up their win rate.
Could be, yeah.
Like
that's a way to look at it. But then why is Trebuchet still?
Yeah, Trebuchet is so.
You just don't use it. The other ones you can still use.
Yeah,
like,
you never use it. God,
it's like when I have to recruit Trebuchet, it's like I'm in trouble. Like it's like this is like last ditch. I'm like gonna try.
It's basically like you're starting a unit down. Like if the game goes late, you're just down 5 chips.
Like well, with Archer and Lancer, you have like a little bit more.
A little bit of play. Yeah.
Like again, when you do pull off some sort of like miracle win with a Trebuchet, you just feel like a god. Like it's like the most ridiculous. Like
I wanted to say I don't think I've ever won with Trebuchet. Not when I've ever used it.
It's just it's the most humiliating way to lose.
This is interesting. I like this graph. Very interesting graph.
Yeah, I'd love to see it applied to all that data we have on War Chest Online. But I feel like this is very valuable info.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, okay. Now, yeah. What do you think? So here's our final tier list. We can make this the thumbnail. But no, that spoils it. We can't make this the thumbnail. Spoilerino.
Question marks over all of them?
Yeah, look, I like how tiered it is, where most units are very good and playable. And then you get into this, I guess B and C are just kind of like the players, and then there's the never draft group down here.
The never draft Trebuchet.
Definitely never draft Trebuchet. Only in terms of a force or a misclick can you draft a Trebuchet.
Yeah.
Misclick Trebuchet would be so rough.
Oops. It kind of has the same tone as I don't know, Berserker. That would be Mercenary. I have misclicked between a Knight and a Sapper before.
Oh, because they're crossed.
In the color.
Yeah, Sapper and Knight. Oh, I thought they had Swordsman and
no,
Sapper.
No, it's just the color I'm looking at, not the icon.
Knight and Footman kind of look the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, there it is. Hope you enjoyed going on that journey with us. That was fun. We never discussed that yet. So
are you guys mad? Let us know.
Yeah. If you're pissed off, definitely tell us. We will see you next time.